Hi, Beaus and Beauties. This is Amy from Bipolar Beauty. And I wanted to thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to our first official episode from the series of our Manic Monday series. And today we're going to be discussing motherhood / mental health. One of my children actually has an appointment today, and I needed to kind of quickly get ready, so I wanted to chat with you while I put a little bit of makeup on, as well as just share some things we've kind of gone through so far. As I get ready, I attempted to upload my video last night using an editing software that I'd never used before, and I was so proud of it and all of the stuff, and it never uploaded, and I was very, very discouraged. And this morning I kind of updated Facebook friend or updated on YouTube about not being able to upload my video. And it was a really good thing because I happened to kind of peruse through my schedule, and I had uploaded the wrong video. I actually recorded a homemaking video. So I didn't even get my own schedule right. So I guess I'm doing this Manic Monday real good. So yay for the bipolar brain. But anyway, so I guess it's a good thing that I'm like recording the video now so that I could upload the correct schedule. So we're just a day late and dollars short, but that's okay. So I thank you for joining me anyway. I am the mother of 4 kids, 4 amazing kids. They are just the light of my life. I unfortunately couldn't always say that. I was diagnosed with bipolar 5 years ago, March 31st. And it was really, really difficult, that discovery. I kind of feel like I had like a mental breakdown. One day it just kind of hit me that I was going from 0 to 100. There was rage for little things, and I knew something was off, something wasn't right. And I remember like throwing a chair against our refrigerator over something really little. All the kids were at school, and I just remember collapsing and crying and saying to my husband, I don't know what's wrong with me. Something is really wrong though. So I scheduled an appointment for the next day with my doctor, and he recommended that I be evaluated. And I went to the psychiatric ward, and they kept me for a week for evaluation, where it was where I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, mixed, because I had in the past had suicidal ideation, but I was just so confused because it had been years, or it would just be fleeting thoughts. I never actually made plans to do it, or if I had made plans to do it, I never really made attempts. So I was just really confused by that. So anyways, I should probably start on my face. I just got really kind of confused, and immediately I was started on a medication regime. What I realized is that having the right medication and the right psychologist, so psychiatry and psychology are like, you have to have the right combination to make your mental health work. But I realized with the bipolar, it's not something that you probably should do on your own. I'm not saying it's not possible, and please, everything that I say to you is not medical advice. This is just from my own personal experience. But immediately I was put on medication and taken off medication, things that on very high doses, and things that should have been tapered on and off. I was put on at very quick time frames. Everything from Depakote and Lamictal and Risperidol, just Abilify, just all of these really high doses, to the point of my sister had to move in with me and basically take care of my kids. My husband left the state to do schooling for a year. I was not doing well and actually told him I was not capable of being a wife and a mother and wanted to leave our family. and he had to quit school. Because of this diagnosis, I had to quit a show 10 days before we opened. Because of just the medication, I would go to rehearsal and not even remember what we had just choreographed. I would have spent hours memorizing lines, and I already have trouble retaining lines, but they would stick eventually. But with this medication, nothing would stick. And literally 10 days before we opened a show, I was hospitalized again, and I didn't know for how long. And I remember making connections with the director and the producer, and just thinking, oh my gosh, this is a lifelong friendship that I've had with these people. I love them so much. I don't want to lose this, but I don't know how to not let them down and take care of me. So we moved, and at that point I decided to take my mental health and well-being into my own hands, which is really dangerous. The medication I was on was something that you should not just quit. So it was December of 2015 when we moved, and that's when I decided I'm not going to do this anymore. This medication has destroyed me, and bipolar has destroyed me, and I'm not me anymore. Who am I with this bipolar? Like, this can't be me. And I took myself off all of my medications, and unfortunately I felt like the damage was done because I still didn't feel like me, which was even worse, because it's like, oh my gosh, like, the damage is done. I'm not myself anymore. I'm still a crappy mom. I'm still a crappy wife. What is happening now? I'm in a new place. We're not on the West Coast near family and friends. We're starting all over. We're in the Midwest, where it's gross and humid and tornadoes and huge bugs. And but what I learned really quickly is the people were amazing and warm and welcoming and embracing. And within months, I was on lithium, which is something that my previous psychiatrist refused to put me on, because they said, we don't know how it works, so we don't normally put people on this. And yet that was the thing that worked for me. And I had the most amazing psychologist. And to this day, she was life-changing. And she got me through a really rough year when my husband was in Korea. In February, I had to have my gallbladder removed. I was having severe back pain, and I actually lost like 15 pounds in a week, which sounds ridiculous and almost impossible, but it's actually true, because my back pain, it almost felt like it was pushing against my lungs and against my esophagus, and I couldn't even eat, and I was just having all these difficulties eating and swallowing, and it was just so painful. And at one point I thought I was having a heart attack. So I went in for this pain, and I was having, like, I had severe gallstones, and so they took out my gallbladder. And when they did that, I went off all my medication, and then I just never went back on. And when I met with my medication manager again this summer, because all of our appointments were canceled because of the pandemic, and so when I was finally able to see him again, I was really scared to share that I had gone off all my medications and didn't take them. And he was so proud of me, because he's like, well, you did great. You are surviving a pandemic. You've survived some really rough terrain in the last few months, with some personal issues within your family, in your marriage, with your kids, with kids being doing virtual learning and all that stuff. And you made it. You did it. You had less suicidal ideation off the medication than you did on. That's incredible. And then he let me stay off the lithium, which I didn't think he would do. My husband and I were doing really well in our marriage. And no, it's not perfect. And, still we struggle. Even as we speak right now, I'm not talking to him. I'm a little miffed. And that's okay. Because I know I'll get over it. I just have hurt feelings because I'm human, and I will eventually be able to move past something that hurt my feelings, because my perception of what happened might have been different than the reality of what happened. But all I know is what I know. That is a little bit going into my journey. Just kind of like I guess that wasn't like a little, that was a lot of. But anyways, so a little bit about my children. I have 4 kids, and they all have their own special quirks, special needs, whatever you want to call them. My 2 boys do have autism, and their autism is so different, so amazing, and terrifying at the same time, because some of their things. Sorry, if you hear talking, it's my oldest. She and my son, they have like a hybrid schedule, so they are home today with school, and she's very vocal in class, which I love and I appreciate. Both of their signs, symptoms appeared very differently. Eli was very delayed in speech. He actually didn't put 2 words together till he was about 3 years old. And so we knew very early on there was something different, not wrong, just different. We just thought he was doing things in Eli time. It kind of came as no surprise. He missed a lot of milestones. He didn't walk until he was 16 months. And what's kind of cool, not that it's cool that he didn't walk until he was 16 months, but it was cool because my husband, we weren't even dating at the time, but we met during doing musical theater. He actually, I would bring my kids to rehearsal because it was like during and after my divorce that I was doing shows, and I'd have to bring my kids to rehearsal sometimes. That that my husband actually was very integral in my son learning how to walk, and it was very sweet. And that was kind of like me letting up my guard with my husband, of like seeing how amazing he was with my son. But anyway, so he didn't start walking until he was about 15 months. With my other son, his situation was a little bit different. He was just this big fat guy. And I knew very early on that he very much had his dad's personality of just being very laid back. He was always nursing, which was very difficult for me. It was really hard on me physically and emotionally. I just could never get a restful sleep because he was always latched on. And so I knew when he was latched on, it was more for comfort than anything, which just made everything difficult because I wasn't able to really get anything done during the day when he would nap, because I just have to sit there. And then at night, because he was latched on chewing, you guys almost let me leave that there. I see what you did there. Finally, by 5 months, I'm like, please, honey, or can I just not? Like, we need to figure something out. I am just miserable and I'm not sleeping. And so we eventually found a bottle that would work for him, that was something that he would take. And so that was a game changer. But by that point, he was the size of a 12-month-old. At, like 4.5, 5 months, he was already wearing size 12-month clothes because he was just always on me. And I'm a big woman anyway, and I was a really big woman back then, anybody who knew me. He was a big boy, and so I didn't think anything of it when he wasn't able to crawl or when he wasn't able to walk. He could army crawl till he was about 13 months, and then he finally started walking about 15, 16 months. I just assumed it was because he was a big fat guy. Fat guy in a little coat. Anybody who knows that quote, put it in the comments. As he got older, I noticed that he wasn't able to walk up and down steps. Sorry. Where was I? Oh yeah, fat guy in a little coat. Anyway, and so he wasn't able to walk up and down stairs, alternating feet. He couldn't button a shirt. He couldn't tie his shoes. Like all these little milestones. Had trouble with hand-eye coordination, throwing ball, catching ball. Noticed the same thing with Eli. They both had occupational therapy. Eli got, speech therapy. And he graduated from that just in time for kindergarten, and he's progressed. We were told, though, very early that there were a lot of things that Eli would not be able to do, and he's far surpassed that, which we are so proud of and grateful for. And there are things that Eli can do now that Adam can't do, and things that Adam can do that Eli can't do. So it's just really interesting how different, both my boys have autism, yet it looks so different, but it looks so different just as much as, my boys look different. They look kind of like salt and pepper. Again, if you know my boys, you know what I'm talking about. So now they're doing really, really well. However, with the whole pandemic, all 4 of my kids got Fs, because once it became that all of their learning was online, they just couldn't do it. My kids are not meant to do things online. They need the in-school experience. They need the hands-on. They need their teacher there working with them. And I know that the teachers struggled too. Teachers did their best. They didn't do anything wrong. The school district did their best with what they had. And so the whole situation was just basically kind of just a crap deal for all parties involved. I'm going to do a little bit of a glow up for glow up to show up. And when I mean show up, I mean showing my signs of aging. I'm in my 40s, it's fine. Even in my 20s, I didn't look like I was 20. I looked like I was 30. In my teens, anyone who went to high school with me, thought I was in my 20s. And in my middle school years, I looked like I just looked old my whole life. Yeah. It's just kind of pointless to try and look younger. Anywho, I don't know what I'm saying. My other 2 children, my daughters, my youngest, she has a diagnosis of ADHD. All 4 of my kids have ADHD, which is a very difficult diagnosis to have. My oldest, though, she does have a lot more on her plate that was handed to her. Everything from depression to anxiety. My oldest son also deals with anxiety as well as depression, some suicidal ideation. My daughter, my oldest, deals with some PTSD. And her and I have a little bit of a tumultuous relationship that we're trying to work through. And a lot of that happened because she needed her mom at a very critical time, and I was not emotionally present for her. And I have to own that, even though at the time I really didn't have a lot of control over that because of medication, and not really having full awareness. Even though lithium did save my life in terms of keeping the suicidal ideation down, it did numb things. And so I became a lot more harsh and brash. I lost a lot of the fun me and the fun-loving and upbeat and the adaptability. I became very rigid and very routine, and I shut down really quickly. And so, and my kids had to see me go through that, and it sucks. And they had to feel the repercussions of that, and to know that they ever felt either unloved or possibly unwanted or unheard, or just any of those feelings of even abandonment by me, because I was not capable of providing that for them at the time, because I didn't know how to feel that myself because of just having that hindrance with the medication. And so now that medication is no longer there, I'm starting to feel like myself again, which is amazing, but I feel like I've lost so much time. Yet I'm not going to let that stop me from trying to make up for lost time. And so every chance I can, I do try and hold her hand or cuddle with her. Although teenagers are just kind of sweaty and stinky, like all of them. It reminds me of when I was a teenager and nobody told me how sweaty and gross I was. I played 3 sports, and then I'd go to rehearsal. I didn't play 3 sports at the same time. I mean, I played 3 sports in high school. And I'd go from a sports practice, volleyball, basketball, or track, and then go off to rehearsal. And nobody told me that I stink. I am turning this into something. I didn't want to do all this. What am I doing? I don't have much time. I'm just enjoying this little chat with you so much. I'm so sorry. Now I have to blend everything out because I don't want to. You can't be unblended. I mean, my gosh, what kind of world are we living in? It's so uncivilized if we walk out with unblended eyeshadow. I'm kidding. I do it all the time. Okay, my face is still slightly tacky from... I don't know why I touched my face. I shouldn't have been. It's because I normally fan it. I normally do this, but I didn't want to do that and be rude and loud. Okay, it's time to do eyebrows. So just to do a wrap up, because I'm kind of all over the place in this video, and I appreciate you being here with me. As of right now, I am not taking any medication to kind of keep my thoughts from being askew, or like to keep my thoughts organized. I'm going to look over here real quick. I'm sorry. Maybe I should do my eyebrows. I'm going to do my eyebrows off camera, and then I'll join you in a minute. Hold on. And I'm back. Okay, so while I did my eyebrows, and then I just went ahead and did my eyelashes. And Jane's the real. I'm just kidding. And then I'm just doing things like easy peasy. I'm just going to do a lip balm. Okay. We have masks on. What's the point of wearing pretty lipstick and doing all that work? Anyway, so just to do a quick little wrap up of what today's little chat was about, is that everybody's got their own version of crazy, whether it's an actual mental illness, a diagnosis. Excuse the wet hair. I look very reddy orange. I guess that's what Miss Clairol does to you. I know that regardless of my diagnosis, I'm gonna love the crap out of my kids, and I'm gonna do what I can. As painful as it has been for me to see my kids witness my struggle, I'm so glad that they have, because they've only grown that much more compassionate towards those with mental illness and those who are different than them, and with them having their own struggles, and then them finding out they don't feel so alone either, because we're everywhere, and we can do this. You know, if you're doing remote learning or homeschooling or hybrid, or, you know, this is a learning curve for us all. I thank you so much for being here and for listening to me ramble for the last, I don't know, 30 minutes. I don't know how long this video is going to be once I chop it up and hopefully make it seem cohesive. I don't know. We shall see. But I thank you so much for joining me on this Manic Monday of motherhood and mental health. And I don't know if any of you have caught the theme of Manic Monday. Everything has to do with an M. Manic Monday. Makeup, motherhood, mental health, homemaking, musicals / miscellaneous. I mean, even moving tips, military life. For those of you who don't know, my husband's in the Army. And so we kind of dabble a little in everything, because I just get around. Not like, never mind. Anyway, so I hope that you enjoy this Manic Monday episode on this fine Tuesday. And I shall have another Manic Monday actually uploaded for you next Monday. Until then, I hope that we all take care of each other, and I will see you then. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time.